Hi, this is Bob Scholes, and this is a demonstration on how to use Authentisign. We will be using this demonstration to remotely have an offer signed by a buyer. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to go down and we want to search for a property in the MLS. I'm just going to search for a property and pull up a property to use for this demonstration. So let's say, for example, we have an offer to register and present on Larkwood here. So first what I'm going to do is going to open Larkwood. I'm going to take the attachments and I'm going to download those attachments. So we've got two attachments, the lead-based paint and the property condition. First thing I want to do is I want to open that lead-based paint. I'm going to open it. And then what I'm going to do is save it to a file on my desktop. So I'm going to do a save as. I'm going to put it on my desktop. And I'm going to actually create a new file or folder, I should say, on my desktop, which I'm going to call Offer Larkin. I think that's the name of this, what it was. I'm going to then open that. And I'm going to put the LBP into that file. Close that out. I'm going to get the property condition disclosure form, which has been uploaded by the listing company. I'm going to open it. I'm going to save that as. And again, I'm going to find the offer Larkin. It's Larkwood actually, but don't worry about it. Save it to there. Now I have saved both of those attachments to the listing onto my desktop in a folder. We do recommend that you make the folder something that you will be able to recognize on your desktop. I'm going to close that out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my listing. Okay, this is the listing that we're making the offer on. I am going to go to the Instanet forms here on the side. Click on that. That's going to import the information from this listing into the transaction desk. And just open this up so we can see it. So it's imported the information on this listing to the transaction desk. I would then fill out any other information in here. For example, let's put a deposit in of $5,000. Let's put a purchase price in of $129,000. That's the offered price. And I'm going to save those property information that I put in. I'm then going to go to my dates. I'm going to fill in the dates that I need here. So the offer date, let's say, is going to be today. We're going to also put in a closing date. And we're going to make that June, July, August. We're going to make that the 15th. Obviously, you make these work in common sense. Okay. I'm going to make a commitment date by the time they get their mortgage. We're going to make that for the 30th of June. And then I'm going to save those transaction dates to my transaction. So that transaction was done. Next, what I'm going to do is go right down to Instanet Forms. I'm going to click on Instanet Forms. I'm going to add new forms here. It brings up my forms that are in Instanet. I'm going to use the individual forms for this demonstration. I want to put a contract in here, contract of sale, and this is the new one. I'm also going to put in an agency form, and the way that you do that is go to your agency form and you'll hold your control key, and then agency disclosure for buyer or seller. So those are the two forms that I'm going to use. You can use as many forms as you want here, but for the demonstration, I'll use those. Add the selected forms down here on the bottom to the transaction, and now we have those two forms, as you can see, added to. I'm going to actually move the agency disclosure form up in the signing order and update that order because I want them to sign the agency disclosure before they sign the contract. The next thing that I'm going to do at this point now is I'm going to actually go to my Authentisign to do an I'm going to open the either one of the documents that I have here so that I can finish the editing on that document just like you would in any normal transaction. So for example, I'm going to add in that I'm a buyer and a buyer's agent. I'm going to add that in. I can go to the contract of sale. I'm going to save the changes on the addendum, on the agency. I am now going to fill in what is not pulled over on the contract of sale. Wait till it loads that. So in here, I'm going to do the normal things that I would do. I'm not going to do all of these for the demonstration, but you would fill in your blanks, you know, single family, whatever it happens to be, 2-car garage, so on and so forth. And any other pertinent information that needs to be filled on your contract, you'll fill right here on the Instinet form as you go through. Okay? I have all my yes, no's, I'd fill all those in, etc., etc. Once I've had all of those done, I'm just going to, out of safety, I'm going to save those. They're all done and ready for signing now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Authentisign. And I'm going to create a new signing. I'm going to import the Instinet form, the transaction. There it is, 77 Larkwood. I'm going to import that in to my signing. And as you can see, it says 77 Larkwood Road. I may want to change this to offer, just so I can recognize it in my signings. All right. I can do either a sign-in line or a simul sign. It really doesn't matter. Use your common sense as to which one of those you want to use. I'm just going to change that to simul sign here. Go to step 2. In step 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add contacts. And in this point, I don't need the seller to sign them. I just want a buyer to sign this. So I'm going to include myself as a reviewer. Okay. So I'm going to add that contact in. Now I'm going to add additional contacts. And that would be my buyer. So I'm putting in Bobby Buyer. I'm putting in his email address. His email address. And I'm going to give them a role. And there you can see the roles that are in here. This is the buyer. I'm going to give them a PIN to sign in. My suggestion is use the same PIN for all your contracts. I can add this to my Authentisign contracts if I want. But I'm not. I'm just going to add them now to the Authentisigning. So there's Bobby Buyer. You see him? He's okay. He's there. I'm there. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to say these are the two that I want. I'm going to go to step number 3. Step number 3. Actually, step number 3 says which documents do I want to have them sign. I'm going to add both of the documents. It's going to bring me back to the screen. And I want to upload those documents that I put on my desktop, which are the PCDF. I think that was one, and can't remember, the other one might have been agency. But let's go get those. So I'm on my desktop. I am going to find, I think I called it, I need to find it here. Offer on Larkin. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to take and I'm going to open or upload. It's now uploading that first document. Okay, so that first document is on here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to upload another one, which would be the same thing on the desktop, that file that I made. And I'm going to take the second one, which is the PCDF. The first one was lead-based paint. I'm going to upload that. I'm preparing this signing for the buyer before they make the offer, okay? So here are my documents. I have the agency first, the contract second, and then those two documents that were in the attachments on that MLS listing. Okay, I'm going to leave the order the way it is. I could update the order if I wanted to here, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to next. It'll load the documents that I've inserted into this signing. And as you can see, over here on the side, I can go to the second page on this. Bobby Buyer is already in there. On the contract itself, you'll see that it's all pre-typed from the Instinet forms. And on the bottom of this are the initials for Bobby Buyer. And as we go through any place they need to initial, and each one of these takes them through, and they just can simply click on each one of those. So if there's anything I had to add, for example, let's go down to the final forms, I think was a PCDF. So here is a, let's go to the PCDF because it'll be easier to explain that here. Okay, so here's the PCDF. Here's the last page. We need a buyer's signature on that. So what I'm going to do, I'm working on Bobby Buyer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the signature, put it over here for Bobby Buyer. I'm going to then take a date from over here, and this you would only have to do on non-templated forms. That would be forms like the PCDF and stuff that were attached to the listing. So once I've completed all that, everything is done on that, I'm going to go to the next step, number 5 of 5. I'm going to check my signing. I'm going to see that Bobby Buyer is going to get this. He's a remote signer. I'm going to get a copy of this as a reviewer, not as a signer. Okay, and the documents that are going to them are the agency disclosure, the contract, and the 2 attachments that we had from the MLS. I would simply then click on finalize, and once I finalize, it will email out the information, and it will email to Bobby Buyer in this case. It will email him these documents to sign. When Bobby Buyer gets it, he will simply open his account, and that's covered in another. But that's a demonstration on how to send it out. And if you came to class, you'll know that then the buyer would get that information and he just clicks the boxes to sign it, and it comes back to you fully signed. That's it for this demonstration. I certainly hope it helped, and we'll move from there. Thank you.